Absolutely nothing beats windshield time. Welcome back to Dan the Road Trip Guy, a podcast where we have candid conversations about life lessons learned on the road. I'm your host, Bimmer enthusiast and road trip extraordinaire, Dan Neal. And now, on to the show. Well, I wish I was in California today because that's where my guest is at. And I'm guessing if we were there, maybe we could cruise around Northern California, Pacific Coast Highway, something cool like that. My guest is Cody Cannon. Cody is in Woodland, California. I'm in Cincinnati today. We're going to take a virtual road trip. Cody's the lead pastor of Life Pointe Church in Woodland. And I was just thrilled when Cody agreed to talk with me. And we met because of work in Haiti and an organization there that we both just truly love, Jesus and Haiti Ministries. We visited Haiti several times together. Even once in 2019, we took a 4-hour in-country road trip to watch a young man graduate from seminary. I know a little bit about Cody. I've known him probably for, almost 10 years, which is crazy. I've visited with him in Woodland. I've been to his church, but I'm excited to take this trip with him and learn just a little bit more and share with you all, my listeners. Welcome to the show, Cody.
Thank you so much, Dan. Oh man, I haven't thought about that drive to Jason's graduation in a long time. That was a horrific 4 hours in the car.
Yes, it was for sure. We might get to that one. We'll talk a little bit about that, tell people about it.
So good.
So what I like to kick off with is just, you got 2 minutes. You're stuck in an elevator, you're stuck somewhere, and you got to tell people, who is Cody Cannon?
Yeah, born and raised in the city that I now pastor in Woodland. We're a suburb of Sac. Born to a mom and dad who were divorced early in my life, and my father is a drug addict, alcoholic, in prison most of my life, in and out. Raised by my mom, who ended up marrying my stepdad when I was 9 or 10. No interest in church or anything like that. Got the opportunity to go to Woodland Christian School here in my town. Heard the good news about Jesus and gave my life to him when I was a high schooler. Never really had any plans of being in ministry. I didn't even have a context for that. Eventually stumbled into a job here where I've now worked at this church for, I think I'm in my 16th year here at the church. And then apart from that, I'm married. My wife Jamie, when we were young, we were 19 when we were married. We're going to be married for 17 years this year. And we have 4 beautiful daughters, 11, 10, 7, and 3 months. And I think that's pretty much all you need to know about me.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you so much. And so you almost have a teenager there, just so you know.
Yeah, she's getting there, man. And luckily she's as about as chill and as cool of a kid as you can get. I'm kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, to be honest. She's awesome.
No, that's great. This is Dan, the road trip guy. So we're going to talk about cars a little bit. What was your first car?
Okay, so when I was turning 16, this is embarrassing a little bit now, but I was a really big fan of rap music, and I really wanted like a big car. I wanted like a Cadillac. I wanted an old Lincoln town car, something like that was like what I was like in the market for. My mom hated that. Like, she just thought that was so ridiculous. And it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. And I was talking about buying this maroon Lincoln, and it was my plan to buy it. And I was working, and I wanted to purchase it. But my mom said that she and also my grandfather would help me buy a car if I bought a more reasonable car for a 16-year-old to have. And so we actually ended up finding, I think it was a 1992 Burgundy Jeep Cherokee Sport. And it had bigger tires on it. They were already there. And I am so grateful that was my first car, because I would, I drive up to the snow on a regular basis, and I didn't have to borrow a car. My car was always the one we piled into. And I'm so grateful for that car. It was a good, I don't know. My mom changed my mind, and I'm really thankful for that. But my dad at the time was out of prison at the time, and asked if he could put speakers in it for my birthday. And I had a massive amplifier and 2 12-inch speakers in the back of that Jeep. I was the most obnoxious car on my block, for sure.
Yeah, that was going to be my question to you. Oh, a Jeep, did you put speakers in it? So you answered that
Yeah.
question. That's cool.
Oh, it was obnoxious, man. I wish I could go back and tell that young kid to chill out because I know that I got on all my neighbors, all my classmates' nerves.
Yeah, and probably the police force occasionally
You
too.
know it.
Oh, that's a great story. Yeah, I like that. Let's talk about epic road trips in your lifetime. Is there one that just sticks out to you, other than our trip to down in Haiti when we rode 4 hours across the mountain?
Yeah, that was so funny and like stopping and going. But the one I was actually wanted to talk about was I have not done it yet. I am about to do it with my family. So I graduate from seminary next month, and my seminary is in Portland, which is about 9-10 hours from us. And we're driving, so all four of the daughters, me and my wife, and we're gonna make 3 stops on our way up to Portland. We're going to stop on the coast, and we're going to drive all the way up there and then I'm going to graduate. We're going to be in Portland for about 4 days, and then we're going to make a couple stops on the way back. It is the most epic road trip I've ever done. And to be totally honest with you, Dan, I am very nervous about it. I'm not sure how these kids are going to do in this trip, and I don't know how I'm going to do on it. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah, it'll be a great trip. And
Any road trip advice?
well, I was going to say, Linda and I we did a lap and we went from Petaluma up to Portland. So Petaluma, not too far from you.
No,
And,
not at all.
and we took the highway up through there and went through, what's that called? The Avenue of Giants, which is the
Okay.
huge trees, and went up that way. We went through Eureka and we kept going to the border of Oregon. And then somebody told me, said, well, you got to get off the beaten path and go over to Crater Lake.
Dude, that's where we're planning on stopping on the way back. Is it worth it?
Oh, it is unbelievable. I mean, it is
Okay.
absolutely unbelievable. So you have to do that. But
You might have just made our decision for us. I'll send you a picture.
yeah, take the back roads. We did the back roads most of the way there, and it was just unbelievable. Just how gorgeous it was.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's how serendipitous that you guys did that trip because seriously, we were undecided on where we would stop on the way back, but Crater Lake's now on the list.
Yep, Crater Lake. It's a definite stop.
Hmm.
Well, that's great. So I'll look forward to an update on that epic road
You
trip
got
after it's over. Yeah, and you're graduating. Are you getting your doctorate?
I am getting my doctorate. It
Uh,
is done. It is over. Defended the dissertation in the fall. And I'm done. And I don't even know. I haven't even really got a chance to like let it soak in. I'm sort of hoping that the graduation makes it less surreal, makes it feel more concrete that it's actually over with. Because it
well,
feels weird right now.
that's great. So next time I see you, it'll be Dr. Cannon. Yeah.
No, never.
We have a friend. Well, she was on the board once of Jesus in Haiti, Roseanne Hassey. I don't know if you ever
Oh
met.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
did meet her. I don't think she was on the board, but I remember I met her.
yeah. Well, she's Dr. Hassey now. She got her PhD in marketing and she teaches at UC.
That's awesome.
So we
That's
usually when we
awesome.
see her, we'll go, "Oh, hi, Dr. Hassey."
No,
So
yeah.
yeah,
People have been doing that plenty to me just because they know it drives me crazy. I don't like any titles, but that one especially
yeah.
feels weird.
You're a pastor now, and you talked a
Yep.
little about when you grew up. So when you were growing up, what did you want to be?
Well, I mean, very classically, I wanted to be a professional baseball player.
Okay. All right.
But then right before I became a Christian, really, and after high school, I would say pretty regularly I wanted to be an English teacher and was ready to pursue that through to kind of take the junior college route right out of high school. Primarily because like the only thing I liked doing in high school was reading and creative writing. And so I thought, well, why don't I teach other knucklehead kids how to do this? Why don't I go get a teaching degree? And so that's kind of what I started out pursuing right out of high school. But then after I right out of high school, I never made it to college. I instead went to Bible college, switched because a friend of mine told me that like he thinks I would be a good youth pastor. And
Okay.
my literal question back to him was, what is a youth pastor? Can you do that for a job? And he said, yeah. And I was like, well, what do you do? And Like, how do I pursue that job? And so he told me that you should go to Bible college. So he showed me around. The rest is history. I went to Bible college. But like some of my first jobs had nothing to do with career. My very first job when I was like 14 years old, 13, 14 years old, was I was sweeping up at a lumber yard. And then when I was 16, I worked at a movie theater. And I loved that job, man. I loved working at the movie theater. I could upsell popcorn to anybody, specifically to older ladies. They loved and then I got a job when I was 16. I left the movie theater to take a job for Nugget Markets here in Yolo County. They started here in Woodland, and they were the best company in the world. Been top 10 companies in Fortune magazine to work for multiple years in a row. They're an incredible company, and they were very, very, very kind to me as a young man. They invested a lot in me, trained me as a leader, and really set me loose to lead. And it was a really good job. I actually left them, worked for them for about 6.5 years, and left that job to take the job here at the church. And it was hard. It was not easy to do.
Yeah, I remember you took Linda and I there when we visited, and it was a really cool grocery store, and I love grocery stores.
Yeah. Oh, next time you're here, I'll have to take you up the hill to El Dorado Hills, where with the store that I helped open, that I actually left to come and take the Life Pointe job. Like it's like their flagship store, and it is beautiful. Oh, cool. It's real cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to repeat our road trip again. We just had such a great time. But
I'm ready for a Neil visit.
Yeah, we missed you on our last trip when we tried to catch up with you and you were out.
Yeah.
Hey, so you took this youth pastor job.
Started as youth pastor. I did the youth pastor gig. Well, I did it full blown for 3 years, but the church was kind of in between pastors. We had an interim pastor. And so in 2011, I actually did both jobs. I was preaching most Sundays and was doing youth pastor jobs. A gnarly year. And then in 2012 is when I stepped into the lead role exclusively.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And the church has been growing ever since, from what I can tell.
Yeah. I mean, the Lord has been real kind, man. Our church is, and it's totally in spite of me that we've been stumbling our way forward, but the Lord has been kind. Got to see a lot of really amazing stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, when did you take your first trip to Haiti?
In 2010, the year of the earthquake. So I went in, kind of felt burdened when I saw just some of the statistics and some of the casualties flowing out of the news from the earthquake. I don't know. I never felt it before in my life. You know, seen plenty of tragedies, right? We all have, like, on news, you know, usually compelled to pray, not typically compelled to go. But man, when the earthquake happened, there was just something about it. And I had to be there. And so found a way to get there 2010, like went real raw trip. We like stayed in a house in downtown Carrefour. And knowing what I know of Haiti now, it was an incredibly unsafe trip. Like, I can't believe we did. I cannot believe we did what we did. But it was very raw. It was a powerful trip, and felt very compelled to go back, but really wanting to be able to bring people back with me, people from my church back with me, and wanted to set up and establish like a relationship with whatever ministry we would go with. So we went back in 2011. We didn't like that trip either. It wasn't an organization we were going to build with. But on that trip, flying into Haiti, sat next to a couple of missionaries that were going to serve in Haiti for the next couple of years, that were committing the next couple of years to Jesus and Haiti ministry. I wrote Dave's email address down, and I emailed him the next year and said, hey, we'd like to come serve with you. And that was in 2012, and we've been serving with Jesus in Haiti ever since.
Yeah, we appreciate that. So, yeah, that's such a cool story. And I've heard you talk about sleeping out. I think you slept out on the roof, didn't you, on that first trip?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. No, on the first trip, I slept on the balcony. On the second trip, we slept in it was like a concrete room. It was literally like an oven. Like it was hotter in there than it was anywhere else that we were during the day. So on the last night, me and a couple of guys from my trip, even though we weren't supposed to, we climbed up onto the roof and slept there. And it was the best night's sleep we got all week because it wasn't 1,000,000 degrees.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, and it reminds me. I bring up our trip again in 2019. It was just you and I. We flew down there, and we wanted to go to graduation for this
Yeah.
young man, Darrison, and it was a 4-hour trip from Port-au-Prince to Jacmel over a mountain with I think
Yeah.
5 of us stuffed in a pickup truck, best I
Yep.
recall. And this is the thing I remember, and I can't just stop on the side of the road and go to the bathroom.
Okay, so I wanted to bring it up, but I didn't know if like that was okay. But that is for sure what I remember about it
Yeah.
is Dan having a tough time.
Yeah, and I remember, here's what I remember is Roger knew every spot to stop.
Yeah.
There was either like a tree or an old car hood standing up.
Stuck in the ground, and it was literally like, oh, that's where you stop to pee.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we have to talk about that. So there.
Oh yeah, and then like when we got there, like you had to go so bad.
Oh, I was dying.
That's so funny.
What a great trip. That's probably your last trip there.
That was, man, and I can't believe that. Like that was May 2019, and that was my last time there. That feels wrong, man. That feels so weird.
Yeah, really wrong, because we used to go 3 or 4 times a year, and we haven't been there since the fall of 2020. We did slip down there during COVID. Oh, I probably shouldn't say
nice.
that. But
yeah.
you did get away.
Love it. I love that.
Well, hey, that's great. One question I have for you. You're still quite a bit younger than me, but I hope you have a bucket list. What's on your bucket list?
Yeah, I mean, I have kind of a number of things, and a lot of them are small. Like one of them is like I need to milk a cow because I've never milked a cow before. So that's on my bucket list. But then much bigger, and this has been, and I've talked to other people where this has happened to them too. But since 2020, something happened in 2020 that made me just like as the most nostalgic I've ever been. Like I miss old things. Like I miss the way things were. And I was never like that. But for some reason, man, I'd watch like a movie and I'd be like, oh, remember how that was back then? Like it'd be a movie that'd be like supposed to be dated back, like the 80s or the 90s. And I was just like, man, remember how that was? And so I've gotten to where I just really appreciate things that last and things that are old. So really what I've told my wife, Jamie, that I want to do is I want to go and see more old things. So really now on my bucket list is less wanting stuff. I just want to go and see and touch and stand places that have stood the test of time. Like I just think it's a joke that like my town can't fix a road that is, been there for like 20 years, but I can go to Europe and I can walk on a cobblestone road that's like, 1,000 years old.
Exactly.
And so I want really badly to go. I want to go to Rome really bad. I want to even just go to London. There's some sites I want to see in London, but I want to see as many old things as I can. I want to go stand there. I want to touch them. I want to like imagine being there back when it was brand new. So that I know that's kind of vague, but that's become my bucket list, is see as many old things that have stood the test of time as I can before I die.
Well, I think you really hit on it. Life is more about experiences and less about stuff.
Amen.
Stuff just kind of passes away, and then we stick it in a storage unit. We forget about it for a while, but those memories, I mean, Linda and I, we took the road trip in 2019 and we still talk about it. I'd never taken 2 weeks off in my life. And so we did that. And then last year we did another road trip down through Moab, Utah and Santa Fe and Albuquerque.
Oh, and that's awesome.
We'd never been down that way. So it's just cool. So yeah, I encourage you to do that. Put all those girls in the car and plane and go, right?
That's right, man. I'm ready. They better be ready.
Yeah.
Because I am. I'm way into going and seeing, and I want my kids to be able to go and see as much as possible. I just don't want to leave them a bunch of stuff. I want them to say that they've been here and they've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the life I want for them.
Yeah. Hey, here's one for you. And maybe this conjures up old thoughts, or I don't know what kind of thoughts you get from it. But if you could take a road trip with anybody, living or deceased, Who would it be? Where would you go? What would you talk about? Maybe even what would you drive?
Okay. Okay. So I thought about this. My first initial thoughts on this are if you're going to be in a road in a car for a long time with a lot of with one person, you kind of want them to have a sense of humor, because like it'd be a bummer to be sitting there with someone who's like super serious. So immediately that comes to mind are a bunch of comedians. So like, not only because of Jerry Seinfeld's show, like comedians in car getting coffee,
Right.
but literally like some of the people that I think of that like I would want to hang out with for a long time are comedians. And so I thought about that, but then I thought we'd also probably run out of stuff to talk about. Like if it ever moved toward like serious stuff, like maybe we wouldn't agree. And so I changed my answer. Initially, I was going to go with a comedian, but now I tried to think of somebody who we could relate on all levels. And I thought C.S. Lewis, I think, is who I would want to take a long road trip with, because I think we could be really funny. We could be very sarcastic, but also he could share all of his philosophical thinky stuff, and he could blow my mind. But then he'd also want to take a pit stop in like a pub and hang out over a pint. And I think that would be the most ideal road trip partner.
Wow.
Would be Clive Lewis.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you drive around someplace in Europe, huh?
Exactly. If you could combine that together, that would be the best. And if I could take a drive in any car, my dream car is probably somewhere in the mid 80s Jeep Wagoneer with wood paneling on the side is my dream car. So Jeep Wagoneer with C.S. Lewis somewhere around Europe.
Fun. That would be a
But
fun
he has
trip.
to drive, because I don't know how I would manage on the other side of the road,
Yeah.
Wait,
Well, that's great. I like that. Yeah, I love the Jeep Wagoneer with wood grain. Yeah.
dude, it's my dream car, and I'm gonna make it happen. It's gonna materialize sooner than later, because you can find them like not cheap, but like relatively cheap if they're in beat up condition. And I have a couple of good buddies in the church that are really good on working on cars. I know nothing about working on cars, but it'd be cool to have them come and help me fix it up.
Yeah. And in California, you should be able to find one.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in a room full of young folks. Maybe it's back in your youth pastoring days, or maybe it's now. What's some advice you give those young folks?
Yeah, the less deep piece of advice, but I really wish everybody would hear it, believe it, and take it to heart. It first initially would be just don't take yourself too seriously, man. Like like not only for the sake of others, because nobody's more obnoxious to be around than somebody who takes themselves really, really seriously, but also like for your own sake, because it's just setting yourself up to just be so embarrassed, humbled. The more serious you take yourself, the more that you're gonna crash and burn, because for all intents and purposes we're all gonna look foolish. We might as well prepare ahead of time for that. But then maybe the more serious advice that I would say is have higher standards for yourself than anybody else will give to you, because it's incredible how low people's expectations are of young people. They just expect them to just be idiots, and they think that like a rite of passage for young people is to just do dumb stuff when they're young, and then think that they'll grow out of it one day. But the problem with that thinking is that all those experiences leave scars, and they don't go away. You don't forget them. So everybody thinks like be young and stupid when you're in your teens and your 20s. But you know how many 40, 50-year-old guys that come and talk to me in my office that are still regretting things they did when they were 16? Like that advice of like do stupid stuff while you're young is foolish, and it's not true. It actually leaves people regretting deeply for the rest of their lives. So what I would say is have higher standards for yourself. You're smarter than they tell you that you are. You can care more than they tell you should care, and live up to those standards, your own standards, not to the ones that the puny, lame, short, small ones that the world would give to you.
That's great advice, Cody. Thank you for sharing that. I've enjoyed our little virtual road trip here, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
Oh man, it's my pleasure. I really enjoy it and am honored to be a part of it. Dan, thank you.
Yeah, and maybe 10, 20 years from now, this will still be out on the somewhere out there, and your girls can listen to it and maybe enjoy our conversation.
That would be so rad. And if that's the case, daughters, call your mom.
Yeah. I wrap this up giving people an opportunity to say, hey, here's how you find me. I don't know if they want to find you or find the church, whatever you want. I don't think you have any new books, do you?
No books. Not planning on writing books. I wrote the dissertation, and that taught me I get no joy out of long-winded writing. So I'll read books and reference them. But no, you can find me on Instagram. I'm Cody the Cannon on Instagram. But really, that's mostly promoting the church. If you want to check out the church, it's just at Life Pointe on Instagram and on Facebook. So check that out. Or just the website is wearelifepointe.com.
And should we say that's Life Pointe with an E?
Life Pointe with an E, man. Gotta love that freaking E. We didn't pick that. Okay, if you're gonna say that, I didn't pick the name of our church, listeners. It was chosen for us. You do the best you can with what you got.
That's right. You've done well. Hey, well, thank you, Cody. It's been a pleasure. Tell everybody hello, and hope to see you soon.
Absolutely, Dan. Thank you so much, brother. That was fun.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Dan the Road Trip Guy, and we look forward to having you back again next time. In the meantime, if you want to find me, you can find me on the internet at Danny, D-A-N-N-Y, Neal, Neal.com. Until we meet up again, keep having conversations and keep driving.